This program deals with themes of an adult nature and is intended for a mature audience.
If you like what you watch, then don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates on the KTPF Community Talk Show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for our new weekly radio shows. The KTPF Community Talk Show is supported by Phenomenon Magazine and Beyond Parazine, available online now.
The KTPF Community Talk Show is sponsored by Dragonos Castle, South Wales, one of the most haunted castles in Wales. For more information on ghostly and ghastly events, including Fright Nights, all-night investigations and hen parties, visit www.mosthauntedcastle.com.
The comments and views expressed on the KTPF Community Talk Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the views of ourselves or of our sponsors.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They've landed.
You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Talk Radio.
You hear us, we hear you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the KTPF Community Talk Show, live from Manchester on www.ktpf.co.uk. My name is Suzanne.
And I'm Steve.
And down here in Essex is Andy with a bit of a cold still, but otherwise fine and dandy.
And we are here keeping the paranormal friendly each and every Sunday. So sit back with your favourite beverage whilst we bring you a relaxed show full of supernatural, paranormal and other strange phenomena. We incorporate a wide spectrum within these fascinating subjects. So if you have any questions for our guests, then you can use our live interactive chat room where we will pass them on to our guests for you, or you can call in and speak to our guests directly by adding ktpf.paranormalshow to your Skype contacts. Later we will bring you the rundown of the events provided by our sister site at paranormaleventsforyou.com. And we would like to start off by acknowledging those people that are listening to us live this evening, and also those that will be listening on tuning into our radio replay on our YouTube channel at KTPF Community Show, where you will also find our previous shows dating back to 2012. Now let me just tell you what's going on tonight. Sorry about the sun coming through, so you might just see shadows at the moment, but the sun is brightly shining out.
Well, at least we got some sunshine.
Oh, I know.
Summer is here.
Tonight's show.
Sorry, summer is here. I don't speak too loudly, do we?
On tonight's show,
No,
we'll be
yeah.
asking the question, is it possible that ritual magic and the occult can aid communication with the dead? Well, apparently, John Blackburn, who has our guest this evening. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Suzanne.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good, good, good. Apparently, this is your new exciting challenge, isn't it?
It is a number of experiments. So it's going
Okay.
to be rather interesting.
We're going to find out more about that. They're going to be pushing the boundaries in a new, unique approach to paranormal investigations. Okay, apparently they're using Cabalistic Experiments, which is one of the experiments they're going to use. Could this unconventional
Yes.
method be a new journey, a way to communicate and interact with the spiritual world? We're going to find more about that later. Andy, how are you?
I am fine, absolutely fine and supersonic. I have to add, of course, that I am also part of Enigma Experiments. I am the man with the Cabalistic knowledge and magical powers and all that kind of gubbins.
So you'll
yes,
be putting your other cap on a bit later on, then, will you?
Yes, I have a number of hats on this evening that hopefully both still fit me, but we don't know. But otherwise, it's not been a bad week. Usual working away. Made some interesting second-hand book purchasements. Obviously, back from Glastonbury last week, and others I'd ordered have just arrived, so my book collection is growing stranger by the minute. But otherwise, yeah, all pretty good.
Oh, that's good then. So that's all right. Now, just to let people know, if there are problems with the server on our normal site at ktpf.co.uk, so if you can actually listen to us, I have put on there if you listen to us via the live stream. Thankfully, we do have a place where we do the show out of the site, so it's not a problem continuing with the radio show, which is good. Also, if you do have any problems at all, if it goes down at all, just refresh and we will do the same. It's just that sometimes it does crash on us.
I am confused.
Why are you confused?
Because Menke Hitler Man said, is that eating people? Is
what eating people?
I don't know.
I don't know. So basically, that's what's coming on the show this evening. We also will be telling you a bit about our magazine later on. Andy will be telling you about that and what's going on with that. And cannibalistic, yeah.
Oh, cannibalistic, yeah.
Cannibalistic.
Earlier.
No, Cabalistic.
Kabbalah.
Cabalistic.
Jewish mysticism from about 4,000 years old Jewish mysticism, but was very popular in the late medieval period and is the basis of much Western Hermetic magic.
Well, we'll find out a bit more about that later. So what we're going to do is, before we speak to John, we're going to go into the observations. Hopefully Steve's got them ready for us.
No, I haven't got any observations at all this week.
Have you not? Don't wind me up. I have had a very bad day so far. Please don't wind me up.
You should have seen the look of her eyes then.
Don't wind me up.
There you go. There's your first one.
Okay, what we got here?
Teach your parents well. Communicating with children before birth.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The intense interest in the afterlife focuses on what happens once one's physical body dies and whether it's possible to communicate with the dead. Mental health professionals are beginning to realise that after-death communications helps alleviate grief to a far greater extent than counselling or bereavement support groups. If we believe we can contact the dead, then it begs some questions. First, what exactly are we communicating with? When we speak to the dead, we contend that what remains after our demise of the physical body is known variously as the soul or the consciousness, or it comprises of a unique form of energy that we define as the ability to love. English biologist and author Rupert Sheldrake writes about morphic fields that exist before the appearance of any physical, including human beings. That makes a great deal of sense to us, he says. Soul energy consciousness is eternal precisely because it's an energy that not only survives the material physical body, but exists quite apart from the material reality, including Earth. This raises yet another question. If soul energy consciousness survives the physical body's death, can it not also exist before the body's birth? Greek philosopher Plato, you know Plato, don't you, Andy?
Yeah. He's disappeared.
Argued for the existence of the soul before birth, as well as its survival after the physical body's demise. We believe that our society's entire definition and understanding of life is much too limited. We live not only after the physical body's demise, but before it's born too. And since we communicate with the deceased, we can also talk with the not yet born. Think of the potential of such pre-birth communication to transform the entire field of parenting and child philosophy, the many concerns of parents-to-be. Are you a father, John?
I'm not.
You're not.
No.
But can you imagine talking to your unborn son or daughter and working out what it needs beforehand so you're ready for it?
Yeah, it'd be quite useful,
So that'd be
wouldn't it?
well useful, wouldn't it? That would be well useful. I won't carry on with what I had here because there's loads of it on there. And that's only half of what I copied up.
Okay.
I've got to say that it's probably the biggest load of poo I've ever seen.
Oh, stop talking.
I mean, I think Rupert Sheldrake would be very proud.
How dare you?
Himself.
Biggest lot of foo.
So Rupert Sheldrake very happy to be sort of roped into that because I don't think his morphic field theory back up that idea at all. I don't know any counsellor or therapist other than some more sort of crazy fringe, shall we say, that would use any techniques along those sorts of lines, other than what you would probably refer to as a placebo-like effect of if your client believes it will work, but it doesn't mean it's real. No, I mean, so mental health professionals are beginning to realise that after-death communication helps alleviate grief. Now, the interesting thing is, I use exactly that technique, but I explain very clearly that you're not talking to a dead spirit or soul. You're talking to the unconscious representation of the person who is still living, if you like, or existing, certainly, in your subconscious. Now, that might sound a bit strange, but it's a bit like me saying to you, you know, your grand's passed away, but if you said X, Y, Z to your gran, you kind of know what she would say in response, because, you know, you've spoken to her in real life. And part of your unconscious kind of keeps that person alive for you. So you can kind of communicate with them. Of course, you're not really. You're communicating with yourself and only yourself, but it has an alleviating effect of sometimes you can say goodbye to people that you've lost, that you didn't have a chance to when they were alive, or you can communicate in other ways to people. So you find that it can be very effective, but I don't think it's real in the sense that you really are talking to their dead relative or their dead aunt or their dead parent, but you are communicating with a part of yourself that's still carrying the bereavement, and it's a way of letting it go, certainly. So I would say yes, it's a technique you can certainly employ and is effective, but don't assume that means it's absolutely real and you really are talking to these people.
So how can you work that one out if you're a medium, for instance, or if you're picking up stuff in a place that you don't know nothing about?
Well, that doesn't necessarily require you to be talking to someone from an afterlife, is it? If you're picking up a sense of the location in which you were in previously, you're just picking up a previous impressions of what it was like before. You know, that can be caught in the atmosphere, the environment of a building, as we've talked about before. And you also know me and my views about mediums, which has got me in trouble before. So I'm not going to
No, but what I'm saying is, let's say, for instance, that you pick something up and then wherever you are in a location, they turn around and say, not a lot of people know about that.
Yeah. But the location itself could be giving you that feeling of information.
Right, okay. Okay, we'll stop there.
Yes, Manky Man. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, hypnosis.
And he's a medium who doesn't believe in talking to the dead. Excellent.
I don't believe I'm communicating with your subconscious, the deep psyche.
Okay, next.
Not mine, you're not. Go away. Okay.
Next.
Spirit rescue.
All right, okay. Here's another one.
Don't go there. Do not go there. It's not Fooey. I don't know about Fooey. You'll be Hong Kong Fooey over there in a minute. I'm telling you. Where's that cat?
Next.
Okay, in recent times there's been an increase in the interest to fill the spirit rescue. Spirit rescue has been a form of mediumship that has been pushed aside, hidden, or even looked down at times. This happens for many reasons, but most common reason will be due to fear of misconceptions. Working with ghost or earthbound energies has always been seen as something that is negative. I've been told many times as a rescue medium to stay away from rescue work, as this will bring me nothing but negative energy and bad situations that will hurt me in the end. I can now tell you that as a rescue medium for the last 12 years, that is simply not the case. Though you do have to work with heavier or denser energy, it does not mean that this energy is always negative. As a rescue medium, I've had to set aside my conditional beliefs about the spirit world and ghosts. Since childhood, I was taught to believe that ghosts are evil, scary and harmful. Many stories, movies and books regarding ghosts have always depicted them as negative. While I find that you always have a few bad apples, most ghosts, as I like to call them, earthbound spirits, are people just like you and looking to find their way. This is where rescue mediums are needed to communicate, counsel and guide these earthbound spirits so they can continue on their transition to the other side. Most commonly asked questions is why spirits remain earthbound. The truth is there aren't any simple answers. Reasons why the soul does not cross over are as individual as the person who has made the decision to remain earthbound. Upon death, the soul usually greeted by family, friends, loved ones, guides and angels. These afterlife spirits help the transition to the soul over to the other side. Granted, there are no sides to heaven and earth. One does not cross a line and boom, you're in heaven. It is a bit more complex. Crossing over is just as easy an analogy to explain the transition of the soul from earth plane to the existence and return to the greater consciousness and energy level known as heaven. Though most souls make the transition easily, there are some souls that after death, for one reason or another, do not make the full transition to heaven. Spirits will remain due to fear, anxiety, grief, traumatic death, anger, emotional pain, holding on to earthly possessions, or because they just aren't ready to leave. What do you guys think? Is rescue work kind of put back due to all this standing up and talking to people? As a medium yourself, John, what do you think?
Do you know, I've never delved in rescue work, but you know, something interesting you were saying before about negative. Something that feels more powerful than everything else. It's like we're having a chat about this really, and it's like it's people's personalities, isn't it? Really, because say like you get somebody with a personality who's stronger than somebody else. It's not necessarily like a negative one, is it? It's just because they're stronger. Do you know what I mean? Hence, they've got a stronger energy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it kind of does get forgotten a bit.
Yeah.
That mainly through the medium's own fault, because they're so busy, for the want of a better word, standing up on stage and passing messages off to loved ones. I mean, I know I've come across a spirit energy while we've been doing paranormal investigating that's let it be known that it wants to move over.
Yeah.
And to me, that's asking me for help. So, in a way, it's rescue. So, I try and assist.
Yeah.
I'm sure you felt the same thing on the many investigations that you've done yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you reckon, Susie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm just a bit confused what Andy Mercer's doing, but never mind.
Hello. Hey.
What did you do, Andy?
Can you hear me okay now?
I can, yeah.
I'm having some trouble with my Mac. I'm a bit concerned because the fan's been blowing at full force the entire time, which is not normal for it. So I've switched over to my other old laptop. So I hope you can hear me all right.
That's unusual for the Mac.
Okie dokie.
It is. No, I'm a bit concerned after. I mean, I will go into the details a bit later on, but as you know, I lost part of the magazine last night, and I'm beginning to wonder if I'm having problems with my Mac now, which is a bit disconcerting. So I can't afford to replace it at the moment.
Okie dokie.
So,
Right.
okay. Bye, Mac.
Good, you're back.
I see you've faced on it. It's the Jungian approach that you've adopted.
Yeah.
Are you talking something that Manky Hypnam was on about?
Yeah, I mean, the approach, it kind of connects with his concepts of archetypes, that we have personal archetypes as well as I mean, Jung described a relatively small number of archetypes. I won't go into details now. Maybe a show, actually, thinking about it. But anyway, he also said that there can potentially be thousands of them, individual personalised archetypes. So your parts of self that you're communicating with that sort of can hold deep emotions, that can hold parts of experiences. I mean, I work a lot with, which you can almost describe as being spiritual in the sense of what is sometimes called inner child rescue, which is a term I don't like myself, but it's working with the injured part of self that's usually experienced something in childhood that's created a neurosis or a difficulty or a pain or discomfort. I mean, as you guys know, I still use hypnosis occasionally, but I've moved a long way from the standard hypnotherapy approach in a more Jungian psychotherapeutic base. But it's another story. Anyway.
Okay. Right, next, Steve.
There we go.
Next we have.
I do apologise this week. Some of these do seem a bit long, but it's because I was having very much difficulty trying to find things.
Okay.
Oh, see, it's written by.
We come from the stars.
Do what, Andy?
See, it's written by one of our past guests.
Who's that?
Arnie Sixkiller Clark.
Oh, right.
Unlike the Aztecs and other indigenous groups in the Americas, the Maya clearly do not regard the Spaniards as gods. According to 88-year-old Mayan elder Bold Pop, the fact that the village leader goes even further to suggest that the Spaniards first arrived in Mesoamerica, the Maya did not view them as technically advanced. We knew technology advanced civilizations. We came from one. The Spaniards were not superior to us. Unverified claims of ancient astronauts in the Americas have been made for decades, most prominently by Eric von Daniken, author of Chariot of the Gods, Unsolved Mysteries of the Past.
Another past guest.
Another past desk. Von Daniken proposed that the Maya had neither the intelligence nor the tools to create the massive jungle cities throughout Mesoamerica. Ken Feder, how you pronounce it, archaeology professor at Central Connecticut State University, scoffed at Van Daniken's theory and suggests there is no evidence that the Maya were visited inspired by, or mentored by ancient extraterrestrials. The Maya elder, who identifies himself as Romero, disregarded with both Von Daniken and Feder. The old stories tell us that the Maya were guided to this land by the sky people. The elder said, but there are not the stories we tell the invaders. The ancient Maya referred to themselves as the children of the Mayab, or inhabitants of the land of the chosen. The invaders, Spaniards, were the priests feared our knowledge and the universe of our origins. They thought that it was evil and rejected it as the work of the devil. There is much uncivilized men who do not appreciate nor understand an advanced culture like the Maya. According to Romero, even today, chants allow the Maya to speak to the star people. There are living Maya who can talk to the star people, but it's an ancient practice, alive and well in Guatemala and Mexico. When asked what the sky people tell them in their communications, Romero spoke about sad things that were about to happen to this earth. They tell us to be ready with our chants, and the sky people will remember us and come for us. We just need to say our chants and they will hear. They will say that one day a great volcano will open under the sea and all the land connecting North and South America will drop into the ocean. As the land sinks, all the peoples of these countries will not know where to go. There will only be water, but the Maya will be taken by the sky people to the heavens, and when asked if the Maya would return to Earth once destruction was over, Romero replied, some of us will return, but others will go to another star and begin a new world. This is what the sky people tell us. Now, part of that is similar to, I can't remember what they were called, but people that all killed themselves just because the world was supposed to end and the ship was meant to come down and get them. Do you remember what they were called, Andy?
Oh, yes. They were hiding behind that comet, wasn't it? Supposedly the alien spaceship was there.
Yeah, you know the ones I'm on about.
Yes,
they were talking about
something.
people coming and taking them just before the
I have to
devastation.
say, Steve, your microphone's a bit muffled.
It's a muffled. How's that?
That's better.
So, okay.
So it kind of reads a little bit of that, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Mayo didn't particularly read the Spaniards as being superior. If you think about it, you follow your own beliefs. You always think that they're better than anyone's coming in, especially to start with. Don't you? And the Spaniards being Catholics, we can imagine what their prompt reaction was to Mayan gods.
What do you think, John?
Well, interesting. Do you ever remember watching Arthur C. Clarke years ago?
Oh, yes.
Because he did a show about that once, didn't he? And I remember it was the hieroglyphics of like they had like a spaceman figure, didn't he? And stuff like that. And I always found that pretty fascinating, really. Where would he get a figure like that from? And I don't know. It's just.
Well, you got the same thing with the
world's a mysterious
the
place.
hieroglyphs, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the birds and the spider and all the rest of it. Something that looks like a landing field.
Yeah, definitely. Right, what's next?
Over to you.
Oh, is that it?
That's it.
Just the 3 today?
Yes, they were quite long, and there wasn't a lot out there to find, to be honest.
Right, well, what we'll do is we'll go into my Tupenneth then, okay, Andy?
Your Tupenneth.
I'll give you my Tupenneth, because I have one.
Just before you do, Pam said that we all have a different things to see, and we all have a different outlook on life.
Yeah, we've got to say hello to you, John, from Andy Pam.
Hello, Pam.
Okay, let me just do this for you. Okay, could we have a real-life Jurassic Park within 10 years? What do you reckon, Andy?
No way in hell.
A paleontologist...
Good idea.
A paleontologist who worked on the film series believes that real-life dinosaurs may be coming soon. James Horner, who served as technical advisor for all the Jurassic Park movies and was the real-life inspiration for the character Dr. Alan Grant, has suggested that bringing dinosaurs back to life might be possible within as little as 10 years. Unlike the original Jurassic Park movie, however, he does not believe that locating dinosaurs' DNA trapped in amber is going to be a viable way of making this happen, because it cannot survive for millions of years without breaking down, no matter how long it is preserved. Instead, he argues birds hold the key to creating living dinosaurs in the present day. Chickens and all birds are carrying much bigger chunks of dinosaur DNA than we are ever likely to find in the fossil records, he said. Funny enough, Steve, if you remember Richard Freeman when he came on, he said that we still have dinosaurs today. They are chickens and birds.
Yes.
Just last month,
Raptors.
raptors. Just last month, scientists announced that they'd been able to regress you heard me right, regress a chicken's beak back into a dinosaur-like snout by tampering with its gene proteins, a major step towards creating a dinosaur. We can get teeth into a bird, and just recently a team from Yale and Harvard have managed to retro-engineer a bird's beak back into a dinosaur-looking mouth, said Horner. So we basically have the tail to reinstate and to transform the wings back into arms and hands. How long exactly will this take to accomplish, however, remains a matter of debate. We might find a couple of these genes tomorrow, or it might take 10 years, said Horner. That there is just no way to predict. Well, I'll be honest with you, that they are regenerating bulldogs back to its original look, aren't they, Steve?
Yeah.
As it's been said that the birds, as I said before, are the only true dinosaurs left. So what do you think? What do you reckon, Andy?
Well, I mean, I'm no scientist in this sort of area, but what I understand is the fact that we don't have enough DNA that's close enough matched to actual dinosaurs to recreate the whole dinosaur, if you like. But again, I don't see necessarily a reason why they can't. I mean, it was a funny thing that, I don't know if you remember in the first Jurassic Park film, in the film they used frog DNA to fill the gaps from the less DNA.
Big mistake.
The fly. But why frog? Why not use a chicken or a reptile on Earth? You know,
well,
it's an odd choice. And,
but as I say, in the dog world, the bulldog.
Yeah.
Well,
but then it's not that long ago since they sort of disappeared. You're talking about dinosaurs and millions of years ago.
Yeah, I know. But with the bulldog, they've regenerated them back to what they used to look like.
One breeder is, I mean, they used to have longer legs and a longer snout.
Yeah.
They've been bred to what we know today, and all we've done is give them problems with the breathing and stuff.
Yeah, so they're putting them back to normal. Go on, John.
Yeah, I was going to say it's science gone mad, isn't it?
It is science gone mad.
Yeah, because, I mean, can you imagine if you brought back a Tyrannosaurus Rex or whatever? Yeah. It'd be cruel, wouldn't it?
It would.
It'd get persecuted, it'd get stuck in a zoo, and that's it. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, it would. It'd be like Godzilla all over again, bringing it back and what have you. And your base is too high.
Yeah, and it's true, but we fiddle. The human race fiddles with everything. We can't just leave it be. I mean, there's been rumours sprouting for a good 12 months, maybe longer, that the Russians are now able to bring back a mammoth.
I saw a TV program about that. Yeah, they can't.
I didn't see the program, but they're on about actually bringing back a woolly mammoth.
Mm. Yeah, they found it frozen, didn't they?
The baby one, they found it years ago. Yeah, all intact. But if the DNA is there from a an intact animal. Just mix it in with the old greying elephant.
Yes.
The question is, do you mix it in with the Indian or the African?
Good question.
Did the mammoth have little ears or big ears?
This answer, that's a sensible answer, probably the Indian, because they're geographically much closer, aren't they? Otherwise your African elephant would have to be wandering across the desert to get to sort of Siberia and the like, whereas an Indian, he just has to go over the mountains, which isn't quite so bad. So I think the answer to that one is definitely Indian elephant. Not like we know, of course, and just sort of, oh well, whatever.
Right, well, that's my Tupenneth.
The tuppence.
My little tuppence. Don't say tuppence. Don't say it's my tuppence.
No, everybody looks at it that way, dear.
Okay, well, we've got our guest with us, John Blackburn. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you, Suzanne.
So, just want to remind people about you. Now, John, you've been in the business for quite some time, haven't you?
Yeah, well, actually, me and Andy go back a long time. And how long, Andy? About 11 years or something?
You and I, blimey, God, more than that, I think.
Is it more than that? I don't know. I keep saying 10 or 11 years, and it's longer than
It's
that.
got to be something on the line. There must be a little. Yeah, I suppose about 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
I was involved for a couple of years with COTC, which started from 2000, 2002. Then I got to meet Martin. So, yeah, I mean, I've been with Fright Nights from about 2002. So, yeah, God, yeah, it's probably just as long as that.
Because your times at the Institute of Paranormal Research, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, it's my old organisation, which was...
So you've been in it a long time.
A long time.
Yeah, and obviously you've been running Mysteria Paranormal.
Yeah.
And when did that start?
Sorry.
When did that start?
That started in March 2010.
Right. Okay.
I kind of decided to go down the route of Mysteria because I thought, well, I wanted to sort of do it my way, really.
Yeah.
And I've never done anything the same as anybody else, so I've tried not to anyway.
Right.
And I tried to sort of bring different things in. As you know, I did haunted painting.
Haunted painting, yeah.
Worked with that for 3 years.
Okay.
And I kind of got into a state where I wanted to do more again. Right. Really.
Okay. So how do you feel paranormal investigations are going at the moment? What's your theory on them?
I think I don't want to sound rude.
No.
Because I think a lot of people do some great work out there.
Yeah.
They really do. But I think everyone's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because there's kind of only so much you can do, isn't there?
Yeah, you can. You're always going in the room. You're calling out for people. You're hoping something's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're doing the experiments. You walk into another room. You're doing the same thing, basically.
Yes, basically.
Yeah.
And like I say, it isn't a rude comment. There's a lot of people doing some great work out there.
Mm.
And I wanted to do things differently, and the Enigma Experiment came along in my head.
Okay, in your head. So what triggered this idea? Is it because of the lack of stimulant, for want of a better word, with normal paranormal events?
Yeah, basically. I think it was myself being a bit... I love what I do.
Yeah.
I put my whole self into it. I put 110% into it. But it wasn't enough anymore. I just wanted something else. And this is where the Enigma Experiment went along.
Is this due down to working with painting?
Yes.
I was thinking that because you put yourself in with that painting and you became part of it, didn't you?
3 years.
Yeah. And basically, now you've not got it, you still want more of the cherry sort of thing.
Do you know what? Do you want to know me honest?
Go on.
Account of it. What actually happened is that Sean was offered a TV deal.
Right.
And you can't blame him. He's got to go for it. Yeah. But the problem with me was that, with me and David, really.
Yeah, which is the painting. Yeah.
We had such a strong connection.
Yeah.
That when I lost him, I was gutted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was lost in a sense, because Andy probably knows, connection with spirit like that. And if it's such a close connection, then it's hard, really.
Yeah.
It's like losing a friend.
Yeah.
Or like a brother.
Yeah.
If you like. So this kind of changed me in a way, and I had to go in a different direction. I couldn't go back to what I was doing before.
No. It sort of a substitute
Yeah.
You know, you wanted something in line with it, or even better.
Yes.
You know.
And interestingly enough, it's kind of well. Do you want me to go on about it?
Yeah.
The Enigma Experiment. Okay. It's
tell us all about it.
basically what I want to do is different forms of communication, and also to the intelligence of spirit as well.
Okay.
Okay. And we broke it down to different experiments within the Enigma Experiment, which is one of them, which is the Eidolon Experiment.
Right.
And the Eidolon Experiment at the moment, I'm kind of preparing that at the moment, and I am going to put that to its test. I think, possibly anyway, is at 30 East Drive in Pontefract on the 12th of September.
Isn't that similar to David? Using an idol. It says here, isn't like using an idol is that similar to using a painting like David?
Well, this is a bit different. What I'm not going to tell you what the experiment actually is.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to be Mr. Mysterious, really.
Damn it! Secretive again.
I know, always. But I'm having it made at the moment. I've been down to an engineering workshop.
Yeah.
And putting it together with me. I've discussed my requirements, what I want. They're going to give me a price on it.
He's creating a Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's alive. But it involves copper, a lot of copper.
Yeah.
Copper plates, two of them.
Right.
And
quite a conductive earth.
yeah, quite
energy.
a conductive thing. And it's about, really, the way I can put it is about energy transference. And that's all I'm going to tell you about that.
Okay. Well, Pam said, please be careful at that house.
Uh-huh.
I'm yet to experience that place, I'll tell you.
Well, actually, whilst I'm on, the Eidolon experiment, I'm putting it out there now, I'm going to put it out on Facebook as well, is that we are looking for a medic.
A medic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to be on the safe side, somebody who's got emergency first aid.
Yeah.
Somebody possibly who's a nurse.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
And if they provide their services for free, then they can come on the event for free. Simple as that, really. And they can witness what
Now, we're
goes
not
on.
talking a first aider, we're talking somebody who knows what they're doing.
Who knows what they're doing, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
basically, medical personnel.
Yes,
Yeah.
basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Manky Hypno Man. I call him Manky. I don't know why. Manky Hypno Man.
It's called him Mank. I do.
He said, is it something similar to Tesla?
No.
No. There you go. No. Plain and simple.
Well, the Tesla experiment was actually putting energy into the air, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Through conductive coils.
Okay.
Yeah, don't want to electrocute people. That's not a
No.
good idea.
I'd rather come back and tell you all about it, really.
Yes.
Okay.
And people, if you want to witness it, need to come on the event, really.
Well,
to be
this
honest
is
with
it.
you.
So this is the first event you're doing. So am I taking it you're doing different events? I mean, different experiments at different events, or
Yeah.
are you doing all the events?
No, different experiments. Different. I mean, it's going to be investigation as well.
Yeah.
But part of it is going to be the experiments on the night.
Okay.
There's also going to be where Andy's going to come in a minute, because the thing about what I want to do, it's got to be done really professionally as well.
Right.
The
Cabalistic.
Cabalistic Experiment.
Now, this was developed by rabbis in the 12th and 13th
Well,
century.
The Kabbalah.
That's the meaning of it, yeah.
Right. Okay.
But this is Andy's bag, really, so I'm going to pass you over to Andy.
Come on then, Andy. What's this all about?
First thing, Andy, can you isn't the Kabbalah the tree of life thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
We're using it as a rather loose term because the Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, which is the Kabbalah, is the basis of most Western esoteric traditions. It's been very influential in high magic, as it's known, or ceremonial magic, and it's like the Golden Dawn and Aleister Crowley and the code. The basis of their magical operations comes from Kabbalistic work. We kind of use it as a kind of cover-all term, as I say, although we're going to involve other experiments as well on the events I shall be involved in. Now, some of it is going to be actual proper ritual magic, including summonings and using incantations and evocations to bring forth hopefully entities that are at locations, but because we're trying to be a bit more broader, we can bring other things in as well. Just try to connect and communicate with whatever might be around us or in the environment generally. So, again, I'll be a bit like John, a bit mysterious about exactly what we're going to do because I'm keeping it under wraps. But I've recruited the possible help of a friend of mine who's actually a long-term practitioner of another esoteric craft, so he will be involved as well. And of course, more recently have been involved in much more traditional folk magic and sometimes known as low magic, which we can certainly make use of in the countryside in this country. Because it's unlike the Cabalistic stuff, which comes really from the Middle East. The sort of low magic and craft magic comes from Britain. So we're trying to make use of magic that's very much homegrown as well. As I was just saying to Pam.
You'll be using I can't remember what it's called now. Something man, you said.
The Cunning Man.
Cunning Man stuff.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Which my second book is on. My first one's with the publishers at the moment, and the second book is working on Cunning Man magic. And so that's kind of how I see myself these days, anyway. But my knowledge, obviously, of Cabalistic stuff is pretty big because was my main area of expertise for a number of years. But I mean, we've got things like, we've got a real Victorian crystal ball, which we use for seances and communications, which has been used. My homemade human bone flute, all perfectly legal, as I keep on saying, but that's used for summoning work, and I've used it before, and it's very effective. So things along those lines will be joining me on the events I'm involved in. So yes, it's going to be interesting. I mean, as long as the people there recognise and know that they are coming to an event that's a little different to your average let's walk around a big haughty building type of event. Because, like John, I was getting bored to death, basically, of doing this standard, always this place haunted type stuff. And, a lot of these other groups have gone down the road of trying to be scientific, lots of equipment and camcorders and cameras and light and full spectrum analysing. And I thought, well, okay, that's nice, we can do that, but let's go the other way. Yeah. Let's go to our more traditional ways of working through stuff.
Like our guest would have told us last week, just because you've got all the equipment doesn't make it scientific. It just means you're using lots of gadgets. Yeah, if you're not taking the readings and following through, it's not scientific.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're more kind of spiritual, kind of sort of traditional way of investigating paranormal and experiencing stuff. That if it's not at the location, then I'm damn sure make sure something's going to happen anyway. I mean, there have been occasions in the past where I've done little bits and pieces at events that no one's known about, quite deliberately to stir things up, and I've had some interesting results. As John probably remembers, I've done it a few times at Worcester Mansion. Disappeared down into the cellar for a little 20 minutes or so and come back with a grin on my face. That doesn't sound quite how I mean it, but you know.
So
was he stirring it up for other people? Just for anybody that has an idea of making their own human bone flute, am I right in saying that the bone has to be a certain age?
It does indeed. It's required to be at least 100 years old. Otherwise, it's perfectly legal. The only thing that's the caveat, really, is that you can't be immediately traceable as to, like, it's your dead grand. I mean, funny enough, there's a shop, actually, in Essex that sells human bone, which he gets a lot of his stuff from Eastern Europe. But what he basically said to me is, imagine you walk into a shop like mine, and I've got a human skull, and you can see the front two teeth are, like, gold, and you knew your gran had gold teeth replaced when she was young. You think, is that my nan's head? That might not go down too well.
Now,
provides above a certain age, there's no problem.
Aren't you opening people up to the occult in these experiments?
Absolutely, and that's what they need to realise what they're going to experience when they come along. If you have a squeamish, I don't like the idea of that, then go somewhere else. Basically, this is the idea. It's this is what we do. I've been involved with this stuff for longer than ghost hunting, and I've never had any particularly negative experiences. I am. People say, well, I don't make you think you don't understand. Well, trust me, mates, I do bloody understand. They've been involved for long enough. And anyone will tell you who's involved in the occult with you long term. And if you know what you're doing, if you've done your proper research, you understood what you need to do, how to protect yourself, how to look after yourself, then you're okay.
Can we also just say at this time that just because it's the occult doesn't mean it's black magic and devil worship and all the rest of it. Occult covers a wide spectrum of stuff.
Well, concerning your bone flute, Mozzie said he'd think he'd rather stick to his triangle. And
bone triangle.
Pam Mac 1 says there isn't anything wrong in trying new things and giving it a twist. It makes it more interesting. And she also says there's always the dark side to go with the light side, they go together.
Absolutely. As we've had previous discussions before about demons and demonology, demons only became a negative connotation in the late Middle Ages. Before then, that was just a term for a spirit. It didn't mean good or bad. It's a very much a Christianized definition. Now, by virtue of the fact we're working with Cabalistic stuff, we're not even talking about Christian magic. We're talking about what would be ancient Hebrew magic, which does have two sides in it, but it's still only a representation of different forces. Whether you work with them and how you work with them is what makes the difference. It's a little bit like, if you want to go for a skydiving exercise, you go with someone who's been skydiving a few hundred times and knows what they're doing, not some bloke who's off the street. That's what I'm saying to people. You come along, we do know what we're doing, we have experience, I know how to sort of deal with anything that comes along, because I've worked with this stuff before many times.
Can you get closer to your mic?
Say again?
Can you get closer to your mic?
Sorry. Oh, yes, I'm talking to the wrong laptop, that's why.
He's still talking to his Mac that he turned
on. Yes.
That's better.
Yeah, can I also point out to the people out there that's listening, doesn't matter what kind of occult or magic you're doing, it's the intent that counts.
Absolutely. You couldn't put it more simply, Steve. That's the whole point. Magic is magic. Whatever you want to call it, it's what you do with it that makes the difference. The same as anything else, You can make use of a particular implement. You can use a car to drive you from A to B quite nicely and take your holiday, or you can use it to run people over. It depends on what you do with it that makes the difference. The ritual summoning work that I intend to make use of, I have done many, many times before, and have never had any problems or difficulty with it. And as I often said to people on events, you might worry about this demon, which I don't believe in, as you know, this entity, this energy. I can promise you there's nothing as strong as a human being, because we're living energy. We're constantly replenishing ourselves. We're constantly rebuilding ourselves. These things, whatever they might be, whether they're from ancient dead or they never lived, there's still only a certain amount of energy that they have. We are continual. We are more powerful than anything like that. And that's the key for any magician, to keep that in mind. You are more powerful because you're living. You're constantly refurbishing and replenishing your energy levels, constantly replacing it. These things can't do that.
Mozzie goes on to say that have to admit he's been on a few ghost hunts before, and etc. But this stuff does sound very dark to him. He says he's sorry for his ignorance.
Well, don't be worried, don't be concerned. One of the things that we can get very deep now with this, but one of the things that I should really talk about, in Western society, we're very Christian-based, whether we're Christians or not. Our ideas about spirituality and the supernatural, etc., is very Christian-oriented, Christian-based. Now, Christianity, like most religions, are based on faith. Okay, the idea of you believe this because I say so, whether I'm I'm God or an apostle or a saint, it's based on the faith of an idea. What esoteric work is about is knowledge. It's the opposite of faith. It's trying to know these things, whether they be true or not, to discover for yourself. I mean, it comes back from things like Gnosticism, this is Christian mysticism, which is about knowledge of God rather than simply believing the word of the Bible. But because Christian faith, I'm sorry if there's strong Christians listening to this, but because Christian faith is based largely on the concept of faith and belief in God, it doesn't like to be questioned. It doesn't like the exploration of ideas, so it tends to be a little bit against that. So we're given the idea that to explore anything knowledge-based, such as occult knowledge, if you like, or esoteric knowledge, is automatically a bad thing because you're questioning God. That's how it's represented. But it's not. It's questioning the nature of reality. It's questioning the nature of the human mind and how it works. Yeah. You see, I don't think these entities are separate to us. They're part of us. They are part of our inner reality, but it can manifest itself externally as well. But, I mean, we're not talking about, there's no devil worshipping going involved here. There's no sort of, they're not going to sacrifice any goats or chickens or anything along those lines. No. The you're going to see is me sort of standing up, talking in a strange language with my arms about. That's about it, that's as dark as it's going to get. Right. Unless you turn the lights off, it's darker. Okay. But beyond that, it is very much a case of, it's proper occult work, it's proper ceremonial, traditional magic, traditional craft that's been practiced for centuries, across the world. Yeah. We're making use of just basically asking to connect with whatever is around us as well as at the location. So that's the idea. It's actively saying, come on guys, I mean, you see certain TV programs, they'll go around and they'll start shouting out, saying, come on, let's show yourself, I want to see if I'm not afraid of you. That's rude, An evocation is saying, would you mind please just popping along? I mean, I'm giving you the opportunity to come and talk to us. I'm being very friendly. But it'd be nice if you would come and talk to us. That's what evocation, magical invocation is about. It's being pleasant. It's doing it. It's asking the way they want you to ask, not just sort of shouting out aloud. It's you have to address these energies by their terms, in their way. Okay. If using, for example, I work with stuff called Enochian quite often, or Enochian. Now, Enochian magic, you speak to the entities in the Enochian language. Because, if you're trying to talk to a foreign person who doesn't speak your language, there's no point speaking to them in English. They're going to say, well, I don't understand. You have to speak to them in their language. So, I might use some Enochian invocation work, but you'll hear me speaking in Enochian, and it'll be like, what on earth are you on about? But because it's the language these things use. Mm-hmm. Again, a lot of the ancients, some of the Cabalistic magic is spoken in Hebrew, because they are based in the Hebraic language. So you would use the appropriate language. I might translate them, but they work best in their original language, certainly.
Okay.
Yeah. Before we go on, I'd like to give a big shout out to Mozzie there.
Yeah.
A lot of people would have just, well, I'll say a lot, some people would have just gone, no, that's dark, that's bad.
Yeah.
He's actually admitted that he doesn't know
precisely
about it, but it sounds that way. A lot of people wouldn't take that attitude.
No.
And as Andy's heard before, a lot of people that are ignorant about the process automatically think evil, bad, and they fight their cause without knowing the actual ins and out of it. So a big shout out to Mozzie there for saying he doesn't actually understand it.
Okay, John.
Yeah, thank you, Mozzie.
Okay.
So the experiments, the Cabalistic one is Andy's bag. That's all about the occult.
I just want to say, Pam says it's all controlled and has been practiced for hundreds of years. If you know what you're doing, then you don't need to worry.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So,
now there's another member of the team as well who can't be here tonight because she's not so well, which is Maxine Briggs.
Okay.
So, and hopefully she's listening tonight.
Yeah.
And I give her a lot of challenges from time to time, and the other part of it as well is that we're not going to the usual locations. We're trying to find ones that have never been used before, ones that are exciting locations. And I've also given Maxine a bit of a challenge, and we're looking for locations of geopathic stress.
Oh.
So when I say geopathic stress, it's where ley lines cross.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where the energy is strong. And some of the experiments, like the Eidolon experiment with the copper plates, that's where we might need that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of getting quite involved in the location as well as the experiments as well for the right energy that we need to conduct.
Would outside experiments be also an
we've not looked at it yet, but yes, it is a place to look at, like battlefields, you mean? Stuff like
battlefields and stuff.
We might know one that would serve the purpose.
Really?
And it's right next to water as well.
Ooh, it's even better.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's a ley line going through it, but I kind of felt it, but I didn't check because we only did a quick visit to see what it was like. I'll tell you about it later.
Thank you very much. We've got the Xena experiment as well.
Yeah, how are you going to work these cards into a paranormal investigation?
I've already done it.
Have you?
How's it go? What is it?
Okay.
We all know what Xena cards are. It was designed by Dr. Xena in the 1930s.
Yeah, stars and wiggly lines and circles.
Wiggly lines, stuff like that. And on the 30th of May, I was in Evesham, did an event there. It was the first Enigma experiment, really.
Yeah.
And it was a total success.
Really?
It was amazing. And we used the Xena card experiment there. It isn't what you think. It's not the test of extrasensory perception.
No.
We did something completely different.
Right.
And again, you're going to have to come on the event to find out.
Oh, God. So you're not going to tell us your results?
But, however, I can tell you what did happen. I purchased one of Andy's crystal balls.
Right.
Okay. And basically, also in the experiments as well, once or twice I bring David back into it.
Right.
Although David's not around as in the painting, I still talk to him.
Right, okay.
And he started to get used to. I didn't want him to get used to it really, but he started to get used to talking to me by glass divination, because I didn't want him to get lazy. You know, like he always communicated with the painting. So now he's gone. I have to chat to him via last divination or.
You're
different
possessed with
methods.
this painting, aren't you?
Kind of, yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
So I brought him through at Evesham at Spirit House, and he came through. We had a chat, and he said he was okay, and he even said that he missed me, bless him. And the thing about David, though, is there's of the painting, there's a good side and a bad side.
Right.
Okay. And fascinatingly enough, David went all the time. Whilst I was working with David as the painting all the time, he was saying that he was suppressing the bad side, and the more I worked with him, the more he was able to suppress the bad side of the painting, the dark side, let's say. And I was talking to him on the glass, and this was witnessed by 12 people. And he went, and I said, David, he's still there. And then the glass went nuts, it went berserk. And then I said, you only have the feel of it, and said that isn't David now, is it? And he said, no. And it just, I knew instantly what it was, and I said, are you the dark side of the painting then? And he said, yes. And we had this conversation, and I can't remember the exact conversations we had, but I was talking with Maxine a week ago before the event about John Dee. And as we all know, John Dee was a sorcerer for Queen Elizabeth I, wasn't he? And I asked him questions.
I know a lot about John Dee.
I bet you do, yeah. And I asked him, did he consider himself to be more powerful than John Dee? Because he considered himself to be a magician, the darker side of the painting. And he said yes. So I said, well, if you're that powerful, then can you transfer all your energy to the crystal ball? And guess what we did?
Really?
And what actually happened, I put people's hands on the crystal ball, and there's no way you could make this happen. The glass was moving around in, say, like a clockwise direction, anti-clockwise, sorry.
Yeah.
And people had hands on the ball as well, and the hands were moving exactly the same time with the ball around the table as it lasted. And the energy in the room was so strong. It was really, really strong. There was a new lad there that night who came along, and I decided to take the ball and we'd go into the back room, because he said that the energy stayed inside the ball. Then he was with it. He was part of that ball. Then we went into the back room. We formed a circle. I put the ball on a stand. Everyone was in a circle. I put the ball right in the middle of the circle, and the exact second that I did, this lad collapsed.
Wow.
He just fell to his knees. So I went to look after him. I looked after him. I brought him round again, and he was fine. But he was like really out of his head for a little while. Yeah. You know, the energy was so strong, and it was a total success that night, really. So I've kind of said that wrong actually, because that was the Harbinger experiment.
That's what I was thinking. The Harbinger one.
The Zeno experiment was done at 30 East Drive in Pontefract.
Right. Okay.
Now, 30 East Drive in Pontefract, as I'm sure a lot of people know about the film When the Lights Went Out. Yeah. And it was a true account of what happened in 1974 at the Pritchard House, sorry. And we did the Zeno experiment there, and it worked brilliantly. If anyone's never been to the house yet, the energy there is amazing. It really is. It died quite quickly though. It died about 1 o'clock, but the energy itself was quite amazing. And surprisingly enough, I'm reluctant to say about what happened really, because I want to keep the experiments exclusive for a while. Yeah. But it was a total success. So we had 2 experiments that were successful.
That's all right then.
The Harbinger
Yeah.
and the Enigma Experiment.
Right, I'm going to ask this question. I know Andy's answered it on the chat room, but for other people, if they're interested in buying a crystal ball, Mozzie asked, if you buy a second-hand crystal ball and it's been used before and dark and evil energy has been put into it, could this negative energy be passed on to someone else without them being aware of its past? Now, Andy, you said no, but can you elaborate for us?
Absolutely, yes. As I've just said to Mossy in the chat room, think of it as a door, as a window. You know, you would, if someone's walked through your door, you don't like them, you don't then take your door off and burn the door in case they walk through it again, because it's only a medium. That's a different way to use the word medium there, but it's only a vehicle of communication.
Yeah.
Nothing comes out of it as such, because they walk up to the, okay, perhaps more accurately, imagine someone walks up to your window, looks through your window at you and you wave at them, and then they walk away. You wouldn't then take the window out and smash the window up because you didn't like the person who waved at you for the window. You know, it's a means of communicating. And the ironically interesting thing was, the ball that I'd sold to John had been primarily used for Enochian magic, which John Dee is the originator of Enochian magic. So it's interesting to mention John Dee there. Now, Enochian magic itself, these are angels. You know, by no stretch of the imagination are they anything other than, as far as the beings themselves are concerned, are angels. They're a different breed of angel, but they are beings of God. That's how they've represented themselves to Dee, and that's how they've been perceived ever since. So, I mean, them themselves. But there's also a very important point I want to make about the difference between dark and evil. There's a huge difference. One can describe something as being dark, but then still positive and important, a part aspect of the self. We all have our positive and negative sides to us. Evil is something different. Evil is inherently nasty, violent, vicious, cruel, horrible. You know, there is a difference that's quite important. So we will not be dealing with anything that is inherently evil. Maybe things that are dark, but dark in a positive way, because they're required for the balance of light and dark. It's just Pam was saying there, but certainly nothing evil. There's a difference. There's an important difference, because it's about how you make use of those forces, how you interact with them. That's what makes the difference. Nothing is inherently good or bad, but if you start getting verbally rude and violent and vicious and nasty, things tend to respond in the same way. You know, you might have a loving dog, you start kicking it around the head a few hundred times, it might start biting you. You know, you have to treat these things accordingly. They're not inherently good or bad. Okay?
Okay. Thank you very much for that. So I just thought we needed to mention that one for those out there that are listening on the radio replay. So in case anyone was thinking about buying a second-hand crystal ball, now you know. Okay, John, carry on.
More experiments. The Pentimento experiment.
Pentimento.
This one's quite an interesting one. I'll tell you why. Is I believe I can attach spirit to an object.
Okay.
Because when you think about it, David, he was a spirit who was attached to an object, and I believe I can attach David to another object.
Right.
He won't leave the painting where he resides. No. He'll go back to that, but I believe I can attach him to him. And I've asked him that question, and he said yes, he can. So the object, I don't know yet, but it's going to be the Pentimento experiment. I have got a good idea what it's going to be, but it should be an interesting one.
Okay.
There's also one I haven't given it a name to yet, but the other experiment, which isn't on this list, is about ports and apports.
Right.
I take it.
Yeah.
Most of us know what ports and
for our
ports
listeners,
are.
Explain.
Basically, it's going back to Victorian mediumship, isn't it? You used to practice a lot, and it's getting objects to materialise.
Yeah.
And some cases they could materialise, say, an object from one port to an port.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing work with that as well, and this has, the going back to the Eidolon experiment, the copper plates that have been made. Then this experiment also involved those copper plates as well. So it's all pretty interesting stuff. It's it's going to be completely different to what anybody else is doing out there. It's going to be interesting. Everyone's going to take part, and and it's going to be an adventure.
That's the thing, isn't it, about paranormal investigations? People have got to take part in it,
Yes.
otherwise they get bored anyway.
Of course they do.
You know, they've really got to get involved. You know, that's the whole key theory to it.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then obviously they've wasted their own money, haven't they?
Yeah.
So, did you want to say something, Andy?
Sorry?
Oh, I thought you wanted to say something.
John,
Yeah.
I know obviously you won't have time on any one session to do all of these.
No, it'd be different events,
Yeah.
different experiments,
So-
different events.
How do you choose which one to do where? And which one's going to be the best for that particular location?
Well, there's one which we're going to be doing in November, which is it's at a funeral parlour.
Oh, Anison or whatever.
Anison.
Yeah.
We actually had it already booked before Most Haunted went live on it.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I didn't know they did, actually.
yeah.
Didn't know they'd been.
Yeah, they've just been, I believe. I don't watch it, to be honest, but I
No,
was
I
told.
don't. Yeah.
So that is going to be the Eidolon experiment, the one with the copper plates.
Okay.
That and East Drive are going to be both of those. It's because I believe that especially East Drive, the energy there is amazing. It's going to be ideal for it. And
Is it because of the religious content?
no, it's because of the energy itself,
Right.
not because of the religious content, how strong it is.
Right.
And I'm not 100% sure about Anison funeral parlour, but it just feels the right place to do it because of the nature of the experiment.
Yeah.
So again, if there's any first aiders out there, well, nurses.
Nurses,
And
medical.
we
It's
need
got to
one.
be. It's got to be medical nurses.
It's got to be medical
Yeah.
nurses, really.
Yeah.
Because I think out of all of the experiments, this is going to be, well, for me, it's going to be the risky one, I think.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I asked the question is we all know from doing you run-of-the-mill ghost hunts, as they say. Some venues work better with dowsing rods, some work better with glass, and it just depends on the venue, doesn't it?
Yeah. The Xenocard one, I can do that anywhere, really.
Yeah. How many of these would you be able to do on one night?
Two, actually. Two experiments, yeah. I mean, because people want, although we're doing the experiments, people want to investigate the building as well.
Yeah.
That's the nature of it. That's what people like to do, isn't it? And all this came about as well with the conduction rope experiment, I think, because that's one of the things that I devised a while ago that was successful.
Yeah.
And that's what gave me the idea of the rest of the experiments and
You
the
said
Enigma
Did
experiment.
you say the conduction rope experiment?
Yeah.
We're going to find out a little bit more about that.
What was that?
We're going to come back and find out a bit more about that. I'm going to go into the paranormal events, have a quick break, and we'll see you in a moment. Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Well, first up, Tony Stockwell's doing his tour of 2015, and on the 7th of July he will be at the Monmouth Savoy Theatre in Monmouth. Derek Okora is still doing his Psychic Ether tour, and on the 10th he'll be at Saffron Walden Town Hall. On the 18th of July, Trident Paranormal are at the Codnor Castle and Farmhouse in Ripley in Derbyshire. And also on the 18th, It's Paranormal are inviting you to join them as they head into the labyrinth that is the HCDP in Hull. September, look at me. Saturday the 18th and 19th of July, the Bohemian Bazaar will be open at the Grand Pavilion in Matlock Bath, where there will be the usual alternative stalls such as holistic therapies, plus lots more, including some unusual and unique items. On Sunday the 19th, the Highgate Vampire Symposium 2015 is at the upstairs at the Gatehouse in Highgate Village, London. And on the 25th of July, you can join Trident Paranormal at the National Emergency Service Museum, West Bar in Sheffield. For more information on these and other events, visit paranormaleventsforyou.com. ParanormalEventsForYou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. ParanormalEventsForYou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. And just to let you know, there's a new website that's come out called ghosthuntsforyou.co.uk, and if you'd like to visit them, you'll find loads of you'll find a few at the moment of ghost hunts that are happening around the UK. It's a new service that offers you the chance to book overnight ghost hunts with our which are in partnership with paranormal investigators and groups across the country. And if you'd like to have a look at that as well, but bear with us, the server is still having problems. So as I say, you can probably look at that at another time. But Ghost Hunts For You is a new site that's starting up as well. Okay, we're back with John, and he's here talking about his new experiment that he's using on paranormal events, the Enigma Experiment, which is a new and exciting challenge for him, Maxine, Jayne, Briggs, and our Andy Mercer here, as they push the boundaries for a new approach to paranormal investigations. Now, is it possible that ritual magic and the occult can aid communication with the dead? Andy, can it do that?
Absolutely. As I said previously, it is a question of what it is you want to communicate with and how you want to carry out that communication. But certainly, if it's a way of asking very nicely, saying, would you please come and give us a hand and have a chat with us, and I can give you energy to be able to do that, and I can give you, like, if it's like saying to you, come over to my place and I'll cook you dinner, you're more likely to come across and have some dinner. Because that's what you're doing. You're asking very nicely and politely, and I say a lot of ritual magic is written in that kind of language. Oh, verily unto thee I say for you, please come and give us thine aid and guidance in the name of our Lord, etc., etc. It's actually worded pretty much like that. So it's just a very nice way of asking. Yes, there are rituals you can perform that are demanding and commanding of something to come into presence, come into being. That you're saying, I want you to come here now because I've got this power and you need to come here because I'm saying so. That kind of magic also can be used, but there are also other ways in which you can deliberately summon the darkest forces you can possibly think of and then probably hold them in position so they can't leave the circle you've formed around them. So yes, I mean, it certainly, in my experience, absolutely works, both dealing with energies and entities that might not be seen as ever having walked the earth, physical plane, to use the terminology that's used, but I think they are sort of deeper energies within ourselves and within the collective unconscious. As you know, I have a slightly different view on these things.
Yeah.
But absolutely, my experiences have shown to me time and time again that, yeah, if you are very nice and polite and use very positive language, these things are more likely to come and communicate with you, rather than just standing in your room and shouting at them, saying, come on, give us a sign, make a noise, please. It's not necessarily more... I'm not unconducive to response, because obviously these things do respond to that. But if you're nice and polite and use the right language, terminology, and terms that they're going to understand and appreciate, then you're more likely to get a positive response.
Right, okay.
Do you know what I think kind of makes the occult misunderstood?
Yeah.
Is TV programs and horror films and stuff like that. It's true, isn't it, Andy? Do you agree?
Absolutely. This is one of the biggest problems we've got, is the Hollywoodization of the occult. As we talked previously on another show a few weeks ago about demonology, this is the single biggest problem we face, is the way in which it's been quite literally demonized by the Hollywood fiction writers who want to create scary films and scary stories. They take little aspects and elements and start building them into something horrendous. We talked previously about the Ouija board. There's never really been seen as particularly anything dark or sinister until the arrival of The Exorcist. Then, of course, people's understanding and uses of Ouija boards changed dramatically. They've always been used for communicating with the dead since Victorian times, but I mean, not long ago you could buy one in a game shop, You could buy the toy Ouija board, and it would be a Ouija board, but because of films like The Exorcist that have completely transformed our understanding of these things, it's now seen as pure demonic dark force of danger and terror. It is very much to do with the Hollywoodization of the occult.
Okay. I just want to say a quick hello to Ghost Rider, who's joined us. He's a bit late, But he's joined us, and while he's there, I just want to wish him a happy birthday. So nice to see him back in the chat room.
Yeah. I mean, also with that thing, it doesn't help with so-called demonologists that see demons everywhere. I mean, it's more prevalent in the States because everything that isn't Christian is evil as far as they're concerned. Well, that's the way it comes across on the TV and stuff anyway.
Yeah. So
this is one of the problems we face, is that the Americanization of the whole field of the occult, if you like, is one of the biggest problems, because they do talk about things like, demon possessing places and people, but they're very much of a rather rigid view of these things, and it is very much based on the very Hollywoodized notion of demon equals evil power. As you've said previously, the term demon itself means nothing of the kind. It means spirit. It's talking about its spiritual intelligences. And it's not saying they're good or bad, but unfortunately they've been turned into that by the films that we unfortunately all rather enjoy watching. I mean, I for one love these sorts of films, but I know how much nonsense goes into them. Unfortunately, a lot of people will view them as being absolutely real. I mean, a good example for me was the film The Conjuring, which I found was quite an interesting film with Larry and I forget his wife's name, the two supposed demonologists. The representations of the evil that appeared in that were ridiculous. I mean, like, the doll itself looked absolutely nothing like the original doll. The original doll was a small little ragdoll thing, and in the film they used this sort of large porcelain-faced evil creature. It's like, why have you made such a massive change? Again, in America, the term demonologist is simply someone who is a Christian-based person who is dispelling demons. The proper term of demonologist is someone who actually investigates and writes about demons, about the concept of evil, the concepts of supposed demons existing. Again, the term has been completely twisted around to mean something it never meant in the first place. I mean, you've got people like a particular person who now appears quite regularly on Most Haunted, who's now not even mentioned, who drives me absolutely up the bloody wall, because he just puts across a very narrow view of supposed demons and very much spouting the American line that this is all they are. So,
can I just correct you? It was Ed and Lorraine Warren. Not Larry Warren. Larry Warren was Rendlesham.
No, I feel that they, their interpretation of cases and their involvement, lots of questions are raised all the time about, why is nobody else having these kinds of experiences of these locations? Only those two have them, because they frame everything that they experience in a rather narrow view of supposed demon activity. The whole notion of demonic attacks and demonic entities over here, if ghost investigations, didn't exist when I first got involved in this stuff at all. There was a huge kind of gulf between occult investigations, like I used to do with Annie Collins and Earthquest, and then Fright Night ghost investigations. They were worlds apart. It's only really the last sort of 5-10 years or so, with the advent of these kinds of cheaply made films in the States, where special effects are so cheap to make now, that you'll see so much more of this sort of stuff starting to appear. Well, we are being sort of shaped into the Americanized view of these forces, where Christianity is much closer to the surface in America than it is here. It does guide and what's the word I'm looking for? Inform ideas and beliefs and social attitudes towards all sorts of things esoteric. Whereas here we've always had a much more balanced approach, a much more thoughtful approach, not jumping to conclusions about things. You mentioned the idea. I mean, I didn't mention the word demon at all when I was talking earlier on about ritual invocations and working with magic. But there was, assumptions are already in place that we're also talking about stuff that's dark. There's no reason why you'd think that necessarily, other than because of the sort of things that have been portrayed in the media, giving the idea of dark and evil and satanic, and the only possible way of existing is in the light of God through Christian teachings, etc., etc.
Marzi was saying that having spoken to many mediums in the past, the vast majority have always told him to steer clear of Ouija boards and not mess with them. Why do so many mediums say this if they are fine to use?
Well, I put there, the board itself is a tool like everything else.
Well, this is it.
It just needs to be used properly. A lot of the problems that you hear about are mostly coincidence. mostly used by impressionable people who have been drinking and are just messing about and asking stupid questions like, when will I die? And it's things like that give it a bad rap.
Yeah.
But it comes back to the question again of what are you communicating with via a Ouija board?
Well,
Victorian times, up until, say, the advent of a certain horror film, then the answer was only the dead, our relatives, friends and family. Nobody else. Nothing else comes through these things other than that.
No.
It was only the idea that Blatty in The Exorcist put forward the idea that she was communicating with some demonic force that was tending to be something else. Captain, whatever it was called. But if you go back to the real case, which we did talk about briefly back in the demonology show, from what you can kind of gather from this was that the child was a boy, as we know, introduced to the Ouija board by a relative who we very possibly had improper relations with the boy. The relative then died, and he used the board to try and communicate with that lost relative. Other things may have happened, but most of the medical assessment of the boy, the real exorcist case, was it was psychological. The guy was having very bad emotional difficulties because somebody who'd abused him had then died and left him kind of in the lurch. So that's the more real story of The Exorcist, and the version we see in the film is very, very far away from the true story of the supposed exorcist. And this is the thing, we have this notion now of, well, what is it you're communicating with? If you use it improperly, you're going to communicate with evil forces. Well, again, that idea has come solely from the phenomenally successful film The Exorcist. And prior to that wasn't the case. I mean, I've got one of the organisations from the Victorian period who use these sorts of things a lot was the Theosophical Society. You know, I've got quite a few of books written by the Philosophical Society and their members, and the quarterly magazine bound up in this massive volume I've got here, which I picked up in all places, Bilbao in Spain, but that's another story. But it talks about the regular meetings, and also talks about Ouija board sessions in which great aunt Elsie from the 1920 or 1820s came across and spoke to whoever and gave her this information about where the jewellery had been lost, etc., etc. Those kinds of things were the communications that came out of the board. There's no hint of demonic evil forces emerging from these boards, only, as I say, relatively recently. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I think that certain people like the Warrens have built a massive, very successful career based on this notion that they are protecting people from demons and dark forces, that only they can get rid of them, that only they have the knowledge and wherewithal to get rid of them. They've made an absolute fortune out of this. Now, motivations worry me with people like that. I mean, I could be completely wrong here, but I do wonder. I'll get off of my soapbox now.
Just to so people are not misunderstood, really, because we were talking about Ouija boards. Ouija boards won't be used in the experiments because every man and his dog does Ouija boards. These are all completely unique, different, something you haven't seen before.
Right, okie dokie. So you're looking forward to this then, Andy?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. It'd be interesting to see what happens. I still think I could probably sit here and spend the entire evening regaling all the things I've been involved in all the years, the books I've read, the books I've written, articles I've written, and my experiences, and saying that I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm dealing with here. But apparently somebody will come along and say, oh, you shouldn't do this, you don't know what you're doing, you're causing these dark things to happen. I expect I'm going to get a bit of that, even though if you've informed in advance everyone who's coming on these events, this is what to expect, this is what we're going to be doing. So, yes, just reading what Ghostwriters put. We were talking about a particular expert who suddenly appeared on Most Haunted. Yes, unfortunately, again, that's the Americanized thing, and it is self-appointed shows, very much so. And of course, the reason why they've introduced this person, who is so-called demonologist, is they're trying to break into the American market. The American market expects to see Most Haunted with demonologists involved, because most of their programs have these kinds of people involved. So that's why they've introduced it, because they're trying to break into the American market. It's big bucks. So, unfortunately, that's going to be the case, that people are going to use what's popular because it's a way of getting themselves a few pennies in their pocket. I'm very cynical, I know.
The other exciting thing about the experiments as well is, as I was saying before, it's going to be a book in the writing as well. So people who come on the events could be a chapter on the book as well, depending on what happens on the night. So they'll probably see Maxine, Briggs writing away in the background and recording the information that's being discovered on the night, really.
Well, I didn't expect the Lord Voldemort in your book there, John.
But it
On
should
the
be
subject of books, what's happening about your first one?
Yeah, it's still in the process of being written. To be honest, I've got to catch up on a lot of typing, to be honest, because I've been involved in all sorts of stuff. But now I've given myself time off in the summer.
Yeah.
I'm going to sort of getting that up front and getting it out there as soon as possible, really.
Oh, that's good then. So, So when's this all starting then? You've got
the Enigma Experiment
Yeah.
has already started.
It's already started.
It started on the 30th of May, like I said, at Spirit House. But the next event will be on the 5th of September at the Ship Isis in Sunderland. And we're doing good on this one because we're working with Grace House, which is a respite centre really for children and teenagers with complex physical disabilities and health needs. So all the money's going to them. I'm working with a chap called Peter Crawford, who's quite well known in the northeast of England. So we'll be working together on that. What we'll be doing on that night, I believe we're going to be doing the Enigma Experiment on that particular night.
Right. Okay.
And what was this other thing you were talking about earlier?
Yes.
The conduction rope experiment.
Yes.
That's been going for years now.
Has it?
Yeah. I started the conduction rope experiment probably around about 8 years ago.
John, Pam has said it's the 4th.
Is it? All right. Okay. You're probably right, Pam. The conduction rope experiment started about 8 years ago, and it took a while to get going. Actually, you know, these things you've got to work with them.
Yeah.
And the conduction rope took a while. Basically, what it is a copper rope about 15 foot long, and on it is quartz crystals. I'm changing the design on it slightly as part of the Enigma Experiment. It's a pretty popular one, really, because people tend to love it. Basically, the rope moves, and it moves to commands and yeses and nos, and I can get it to pull people across the room. I can do different things with it, really. It took me a long time to get it to work with me, but in the end, I got it to work.
That's all right. So, Andy?
Hello, yes. Sorry, what?
Have you got anything to say?
Oh, sorry.
Any questions to ask?
Any more questions?
Yes, really looking forward to working with John again. I mean, funny enough, I've never seen that experiment, John, with the rope. I've been on events with you with it, but I've usually had a different group elsewhere, so I've never seen the thing in action yet. So I'm quite looking forward to actually seeing that doing its thing. But yeah, I mean, we've just been talking previously. I'm hoping to see a few more events down south, because I don't travel well, as you know, because I have to get back to the show on a Sunday afternoon. So, I mean, I've got a couple of locations I want to talk to John at some point that might be worth approaching that are actually pretty close to me. But yeah, I've actually got a question for John. How did Maxine get so involved? Who is this mysterious Maxine? Come on, tell us more.
Yeah, Maxine. She used to come on the events, actually, on Mysteria events. And we've got friends, and she's really interested in the paranormal side of things. She always has been. To be truthful, Maxine is actually the ghostwriter for my book.
Ah.
Yeah, so that's where her involvement, really.
I see.
But also there's BCCS as well, which Maxine supports Grace House.
Right.
And she asked me if I'd work with her on Grace House. And
What's
and that's what I'm
BCCS?
doing. It's Briggs Children's Cancer Support.
Right. Okay.
I think. No, sorry, Briggs Children's Charity Support.
Right.
Beg your pardon. And originally she was doing different. Originally she chose 4 children's hospices to raise money for, but now she's more concentrating on Grace House. So yes, it's an exciting time for me really, because I'm very busy with working with Maxine on BCCS and also the Enigma Experiment too.
Okay. So, well, I wish you all the best of luck with it.
Thank you.
So, is there any other questions that we have from Andy and Steve?
Not on that. No, I'm just intrigued to find out what happens. To be honest, it's as we know, John's come in. He's kept it all secret from us.
I know he has. He's
I
sort of
know.
like
So we couldn't do any research into what any of these might be.
But it's
Been sneaky.
when you put it out in the air, you've got to sort of keep it for the night, haven't you? Because otherwise somebody will go, "Oh, I'll do that."
So,
Well, you know, copy sooner or later. Anyway, any decent ideas always do get copied ad infinitum. But I'm just intrigued to see some new locations as well. I mean, one of the things that I was kind of getting bored with is going back to the same places over and over again. That said, there's a couple of places I'm wondering if John was hoping to make use of, like Woodchester Mansion. I haven't been there for years, and I absolutely missed the place.
To be honest with you, Andy, no, it won't be a place that will be used. I know,
Never mind.
but never mind. But I think the problem with Woodchester Mansion, it's just overworked.
yeah.
You
get these places, don't you?
get these places, and, you know, and it's I need new, fresh locations. Do you know 30 East Drive? I walked in there, and the energy is so strong that I've never felt like that before.
Really?
It's an amazing location, but
I've never been.
Yeah. No. I kind of again, it was Maxine really who found the location. She's good at finding locations as well, and
this is the Pontefract House, isn't it?
yeah, that's right. And it went on. I put it on Mysteria Facebook page, and I put it on Lifting the Veil Facebook page, and then after it went on there, it got booked everywhere. Then it was everybody booking it here, there, and everywhere, and I guess it'll stay good for a couple of years, and then it'll get overworked. So but we're also going to do mystery locations as well, so we can keep them from being overworked.
Okay. So is East Drive really that bad?
It's excellent.
Is it?
Yeah. It's
So,
excellent.
because is it an all-nighter? Is it an all-nighter?
Yeah. The event we're doing is it starts at 9 till 3 in the morning. The energy does drop about 1 o'clock.
Right.
But before then, it's good.
Do you actually see things being thrown and?
Not yet, but we had a gentleman called David, and David never makes things up. Ever. You know, he's not like it's not like an attention seeker, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And he had to walk out of the room because he felt aggression to everybody. He really wanted to lash out at people, and he had to walk out of the room. And that isn't him. I've seen people who are attention seeking before, and it isn't David.
Oh dear.
He never does. The energy is just you can feel it as soon as you walk in. You can feel the buzz of it, especially in the little girl's room.
Yeah.
So.
Is it lived in still, or is it?
No, it's been empty for 6 years, I think.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, the director of the film bought the house.
Oh, I see.
So. I believe it. But it's an interesting place. I mean, you are going there yourself, aren't you?
No.
Oh, you're not?
No, never been.
No, we were booked on it. But she double booked us or something.
We was booked in just to do a team one.
Yeah.
And obviously, a full investigation wanted to do it. So she did that one. Because ours wasn't an official, you know what I mean? It was there's nothing on. We'll come down and have a
I'd
look
book
at
it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty fully booked now for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
But I'd book it when you can because it's an interesting place. I mean, I've booked it for 3 more times this year, and I probably won't be booking it again next year.
No.
Purely because I need different locations, new locations, and locations of stress points really.
Yeah. And these places,
where ley lines cross.
These places do get overbooked, don't they?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? They allow them to get overworked.
Yeah.
We stopped doing one It was a really good place, but it gets done every single weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the spirits just get fed up and go, "Thought it, I ain't talking to you."
Well, yeah, the people who own these houses and castles and whatever, they don't sort of think that, do they? I mean, you can tell them. They've been told, I'm sure, before, but they don't listen, do they?
So how many people can you actually take to the thing?
You're only allowed 10.
10.
Maximum 10, that's including staff.
Is it?
Yeah.
So it's a limited thing then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very limited, yeah.
Basically, a team event for us.
Yeah, team event for us. But,
Yeah, interesting though. Interesting place.
So, you know.
But the
Well, we'll have to see if we can get there.
Yes.
apparently the energy is getting stronger.
Yeah.
It went dormant for a while. After the 70s, I believe it did.
Yeah.
But the energy is getting stronger.
And this is on your website, is it?
Well, actually, I'm not using the website anymore, Mysteria website, which I meant to mention to you.
Oh, right.
Because I'm going to... I put Mysteria on hold.
Yeah.
Because I want to concentrate on this.
Right.
I'm advertising events on Lifting the Veil, David's Story, and also I've still got a Facebook page, Mysteria Paranormal Events. But I'm going to be creating a new website soon. I think I need to create a website soon dedicated to the Enigma Experiment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you do. So.
Yeah.
But,
a dedicated site would be good.
Yeah.
Yes. So when are you at the? I'm looking on your Lifting the Veil for this 30 East Drive. Is it on there?
It is on there. Yeah.
Right. When are you doing that?
I'm there. Where is it? Lifting the Veil is on... East Drive is on 12th September.
Right, okay. I can't make that one.
It's fully booked anyway.
Is it? I would say I can't
all
make that
three
one.
of them are all fully booked.
Are they?
Yeah.
Drat. We're in Scotland that weekend anyway.
Yeah, but...
so never mind.
But however...
I
do know he does hire the place out midweek as well.
Right.
So if you guys could do a midweek investigation, you would get a date.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm sure we've got some team members that work shifts that might be interested.
Yeah, you never know, do you?
No. So,
You know.
you know. He's counting them on this round.
At least 5 off the top of my head. I can think that would definitely go.
Yeah.
But you know, we've
And
all...
Mandy's not going.
Andy.
Mandy.
Oh, Mandy, no.
Mandy is not going. I don't care what she says.
We've all visited different places, and this one did have an impression on me. It was a good place. But
Yeah. I hasten to say there's nothing wrong with Mandy. She just happens to be 7 months pregnant at the moment.
oh God, no.
Not a good place to go.
Not at all, no.
No. No, it's something that you shouldn't do when you're pregnant, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So, can you explain why to people?
Insurance for one.
Yeah.
That's a biggie. Another one is you're walking around in the dark, slips and falls.
This is it.
Energy, as we know, can affect you in different ways, and it's you really don't want to be responsible for that, do you?
No, definitely not.
So no, just stay away.
Okay.
Difficult question. I know we've asked you plenty of times before, but Mozzie has said, what's the best place you've ever been to?
Best place I've ever been to. I think for the actual, I think one of them is Chillingham Castle.
Right.
Chillingham Castle, if you've never been, is absolutely amazing. It's very exclusive. It's really hard to get into Chillingham.
Why do they always say Chillingham when we talk to them?
It's either that or Chingle Hall, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, if you've never been, it's an amazing place. Yeah. Even the look of the building, it's just amazing.
I just feel like going, shut up.
Where else? And do you know 30 East Drive impressed me?
Yeah.
It did. Where else? I haven't got a single one, to be honest, Mozzie, to be honest with you. But
are you still doing Drakelow tunnels?
not as much. I've done it loads. Been there about 90 times.
I know, that's the trouble.
Yeah,
isn't
we've
it?
been there loads of times.
Yeah, the Enigma Experiment isn't going on.
Pammy's suggesting Pontefract.
Oh yeah,
Pam
sorry,
says
the Red Lion in Pontefract. Thanks, Pam. You reminded me. The Red Lion in Pontefract is Mozzie is an amazing place. It's not worked. It's not worked at all, hardly, really. And if it's a place I could arrange if anybody wanted it.
Yeah, we did it possibly 3 landlords ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
the one we did just up and left, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then they had a new landlord that wasn't keen on the idea.
do you know the story of it? It's an interesting story.
Go on.
Do you want to know it? Have we got time?
Go on.
Oh God, about 7 or 8 years ago again. I keep saying 7 or 8 years ago. A gentleman called Toby Metcalf. He actually moved in the pub.
Yeah, Toby, that's who was there when we...
Did you know him? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who we dealt with. Yeah.
I think it was a relative who had the pub before then, and basically, I don't know whether it's a story or what, but it's an interesting one. In the pub, you've got a pub downstairs, and then you've got this grand staircase, haven't you, that goes up, and then you've got the living quarters of the landlord, whoever's there, and then next door to that, you've got a ballroom, which is really interesting. The ballroom's got a lot of energy. Allegedly, it's got connections with witchcraft in the ballroom. And interestingly enough, when I first went to the Red Lion, you walk up the staircase and it's like you can feel like you're going into a different level of energy. Did you feel that when you walked up the staircase? It was weird.
Yeah, always seemed to be a man in dark clothes on the staircase.
Not something I felt on that night, but yeah, it's a weird place. And then you go to where the manager's quarters are, or the landlord, or whatever you want to call them these days. And there's a staircase, and up to the staircase there's a door, and the door has got screw holes all around it.
Yeah.
Now the story goes that when Toby Metcalf moved in, one of the locals said to him, "Whatever you do, don't take the screws out the door, because the door was screwed tight shut."
Yeah.
But above that there's 2 derelict floors. And what did he do? He took the screws out, and when he was in the living quarters asleep at night, on that very night, you could hear little sound of little feet running above him.
Yeah.
And he would never go in there, Toby, to be honest with you. And you go, and it used to be a hotel, and it used to be a brothel, I believe. And legend has it, the very, very top floor, that a priest used to run an illegal abortion clinic.
Yes, we know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank
we
you, John.
picked up on that, didn't we?
Did you?
Yeah.
Excellent, well done.
Yeah, so
And
we did
the
pick
energy's
up on
very
that.
strong.
Yeah, so I must admit it was Toby that contacted us originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of movement on that very top floor as well.
And
if you've got the time to just sit quietly and do nothing and just watch the movement.
we had a booking there, and week before we were supposed to go there, we rung up and we found out he'd gone.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we're not doing them sort of things anymore. And I thought, God, I've sold all these tickets. But thankfully, the Parkside Hotel was still up and running then, and they said, yeah, come here. You know what I mean? So that was good. That was a nice place.
That was another good place.
But unfortunately, it burnt down.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the Enigma Experiment may go to the Red Line in Pontefract because the energy is right.
Yeah.
It's really strong.
Yeah, we liked the Red Line, didn't we, Steve?
Yeah, we did.
So
the hotel was like a training ground for us, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, back then it was half of it was really unusable, wasn't it? Because it was so damp.
It's all right now.
No, I don't mean the Red Line. I mean the hotel.
Oh right.
So I'm surprised it burnt down at all. It was that wet.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was a really good place. You would have liked it.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So, and that's had a cult there as well.
Yes,
we picked up on occult stuff.
It's had we picked up. So we've seen monks there.
Monks.
You say you picked up on occult stuff. What do you mean?
Well, we found out it had occult stuff being what's the name there?
Witchcraft and stuff being done.
Witchcraft and stuff. It was actually part the land that it was on used to be part of the castle. Yeah, and they reckon that there've been witchcraft areas. People have been doing witchcraft and occult stuff in that area in the past. So.
And then you had the monks.
And then there was the monks that were not far away from there, and there was talk about seeing legs coming down some stairs, as if they were walking down some stairs, but there was no stairs. Monks have been seen, you know, and all this, that, and the other. It was, it was just what they were saying about it. You know what I mean?
First time
the history we got.
We was invited down to basically try the place out, see what we could get, and it was a case of see how it goes on the night, and then we'll go from there. On the first night, we picked up straight away on a big black gentleman who was a rapist.
Yes.
Right.
We picked up on it straight away.
Yeah.
Amongst other things, we put a report in for him to have a look at and check. And
the plan was that we were going to go in and see what we find, and if it all goes well, they were going to do events there.
Yeah. Now, the gentleman we were liaison with, he was in the bar the night after, and he was telling the barmaid about it, and she went white because she knew about the rapist part of it.
Yeah, she said that's true.
We suddenly got a phone call saying, "Can you come back?"
Yeah, you know. So it was quite weird. We picked up on a hanging there, and a shooting. We realised that this had happened in the house. Wasn't it?
That was in the farmhouse part.
The farmhouse part of it.
Part of it used to be an old farmhouse.
Because it used to be a farm and a barn, and what they've done is they've built in between to make it a hotel sort of thing. But it got burnt down, unfortunately.
Oh, a quick one for Mozzie, is it?
Yes.
About 6-7 years ago.
All that time away. Yeah.
Oh God, no, it wasn't. It's about 9 years ago. God, I'm showing my age now. And there was a location I've been trying to organise for a long, long time. I'm not going to say where it is, because it's going to be a mystery location.
Yeah. And
it's got the worst history in Scotland. And the paranormal, well, the history behind it is absolutely amazing. It's so spooky. The castle is weird, and also not only you'd be going to the castle as well, you'd be staying at haunted B&B as well. And the story behind the B&B is one of the ladies who booked in the B&B actually barricaded herself in, and the landlady of the B&B had to actually encourage her to move the wardrobe away from her door because she dragged it in front of the door. It was all night long. There was something violently banging to get inside. So it's going to be interesting.
Definitely. So, Andy, anything to add to this?
No, Mozzie was asking me my favourite locations, which I mentioned a few. The one that individual events that stood out as the most amazing, strange one was the Hellfire Caves, which, if anyone's ever been to, they're man-made caves. There's nothing down there, no big objects or anything, apart from a couple of rather grubby statues. But we had a particular event where there was a strange mist took quite low to the ground that was inexplicable, literally inexplicable. Don't know where it was coming from. And every time it was in a chamber, the next chamber over, just a series of small chambers, it sounded like heavy furniture being dragged around. It was that loud. It was really quite amazing. But it's been a particularly interesting event. But one of the ones I mentioned earlier was on Woodchester Mansion when it was first being investigated. Not so much as I say now it's been done to death, literally. But when it was first emerged on the scene, I was myself, back in the days of COTC and the Ghost Club, we were kind of responsible for that becoming well known, and it became a location that, of course, Fright Night used an awful lot, and we kind of got its name out there, Woodchester Mansion. So those are probably the places that have really struck me. But of course, there's Edinburgh Vault, where I've got that rather nice video footage that you've all seen, of course, before, of the figure moving across the back room when we know there was nobody in there. So that stands out for me for that reason. But I was just going to ask, John, do you think we'll be able to use the cage down in Essex at any point for Enigma?
It's for sale.
I know it's for sale. It's actually for sale for a while.
Yeah,
but, still allowing events, or she curtailed it because she's trying to sell now?
I think the problem with it is that you don't know whether or not to book it or not, because it's for sale and stuff. So I'm kind of staying clear of it for the time being. to be honest.
Yeah, I
Jayne,
mean,
pretty close to me. So.
for me, probably the first time we did the fleece. Butterflies in Oldham, which is
Oh, I've been there.
which is no longer available because it's flats now. Turned it all into flats, didn't they?
Yeah.
Butterflies. Oh, it's not flat yet.
Oh, they're not done it
Still
yet.
not done it.
No.
Oh, right.
No, it's still the old building that it was before.
Oh.
Yeah.
They shut all that up years ago and they said it's going to be flats and still haven't touched it. And just for the sheer spectacle of it, Bran Castle
Yes.
in Romania.
Yeah.
When we did Bran Castle, that was
Yeah,
great.
the first time.
So, has anybody ever been physically attacked by a spirit?
I've got, Andy was mentioning the Hellfire caves. I got kicked in the shin there. That bloody hurt. Excuse my French.
Oh, sorry, John.
Yeah, he's apologising now. It was Andy that kicked you.
What about you, Andy? Hey?
Not really. I've never, not in all my time, I've had things thrown at me. Certainly had poltergeist type activity. One particular occasion that sticks in my mind was investigating. It was a small private investigation. An old Victorian church. Well, it's actually a warehouse that was used most recently as a spiritualist church. They stopped using it about 5 years ago, and it was in a rather rough neighbourhood in. Where it was Midlands there anyway, but they got to the point they'd actually put metal plates over the downstairs windows because it had been broken into previously. But it was very securely locked up. No one else in there apart from myself, 2 members of my team, the IOPR, and about 4 people from the group who'd asked us to come and join them. We were sitting literally in one corner of the room having a cup of tea, basically having a break, and this stone came whistling past them, hit the wall and landed on my foot. I mean, picked it up, it was red hot. It really was hot, which was pretty damned amazing because there was absolutely no way it had been thrown from anywhere else. And there was nobody else in the building, I should say, who could have thrown it, and it hadn't simply fallen from the ceiling, it had gone across the room. That was quite impressive. I've seen a few occasions when that sort of thing happen. I've had somebody attack me because they thought I was possessed, which is another long story which I won't go into. But yeah, I've had that a few times. But, I'm even aware of being sort of pushed and shoved, but nothing particularly dramatic. And I've always maintained that, I don't think it happens. I think people tend to fall downstairs or trip over things themselves. It's not spirits doing it. I've seen people blame spirits when they've fallen over because they've tripped over. But, perhaps the most visual I've ever seen, again, was your Winchester Mansion, where someone in the investigation group I was with had 2 rather large scratches appearing on their neck and down their back that clearly weren't there before. They weren't wearing anything around their neck to have scratched them, and they were wearing a fleece. Nice and soft fleece, so it wasn't their clothing that had scratched them. So Mossy's asking an interesting question, which I've had arguments with before. He's saying, can a spirit follow you home? And I don't think so at all. I think if there are entities or energies you encounter at locations, they belong to that location and have no desire to leave it because they are there. I think people think sometimes they may have been followed home, but I don't think things do follow people. Okay. I do think it's easy to imagine that you're being followed, or perhaps something that's stirred in your own home location because you've been conversing with other forces, shall we say, that then you go home and what might be in your house you become more aware of because your brain switched on to it, and that might be what's happening. But I don't think things follow you home in the years, and I mean years I've been doing this. I've never experienced it ever happening to anybody.
Well, we've been doing it 10 years and we've never had anything follow us home. You do get bogged down with energy after a while, so you have to give yourself a quick cleanse kind of thing. When you've been doing it a lot, I mean, at one point we were doing it every other week.
Yeah.
And you do get bogged up. But I mean, going back to the anybody ever been attacked? I've been scratched once on the neck. Not sure what or how it got there, but I'll tell you a story of. It is a story because I wasn't there, but our old group went down to Peterborough Museum.
Yeah.
Yep. Down in the cellar part downstairs. Well, they saw this dark, shadowy entry at the end of the hallway, and from the story that was related to us, this entity came flying down the hallway, hit one of the guys in the chest lifted him off his feet, and he landed on the guy behind him, and they both ended up on the floor.
Oh wow!
Whether that's true or not is another matter.
We wasn't there, so
No.
we can only relate to what we were told.
Viscount said that his best place was Whitecroft Hospital on the Isle of Wight. No longer there, now it's new posh houses.
Posh houses.
Yes. So, but
I mean, I'd like to get into and do some of these mills, but they're not open anymore. They're all locked up into little individual businesses or flats and stuff. You can't get into the proper mill anymore. So you're kind of restricted to the ones you can do.
Do you remember, Andy, God, many years ago when we did the Black Mausoleum? Well, you was working. I was just there as a guest, really.
That was a particularly unpleasant location for me personally. It was very unpleasant energy in there. There's definitely something awry with that place. So it's hard to really explain, but it did feel very strong connection to something that was very unhappy, shall we say. And back in those days, I was more open to allowing whatever was there to speak through me. You know, when I've never done full trance. I've always been aware of what's going on around me, John. I mean, honestly, with you, I have always known something's happening. I go with the flow of it sometimes, let it sort of do what it's doing, but I've always been aware and been able to stop it if I wanted to. But that was particularly powerful, this very angry individual that was certainly in the particular mausoleum itself, and it was very strong. This was middle of an afternoon, if I remember right. It wasn't. It was daytime.
It was daytime, yeah.
But it was an amazing place.
I remember that particular day, your eyes just turned white. It was weird.
Oh no. Right then, we're going to call a halt to this conversation. Andy, have you got anything to tell us about? Hold on.
I was good.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, just a quick one. Mozzie has said, in the case of the hospital, just because of the build, will the spirits still be there? Just because the building's gone.
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of places like that.
Yeah,
don't
you do, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, in a lot of cases, the spirits themselves don't know the building's gone.
Yeah.
They still see it as it was when they were there.
I believe that's the case, yeah.
Yeah. So, Andy?
And Viscount says spirit attachment equals emotional content. So it's more the emotions that you picked up on that are still with you than the actual spirit themselves.
Well, we wish you all the best of luck with your new experiments.
Thank you.
Your Enigma experiment.
Yeah, do you know, I want to make a difference, to be honest. And not just doing the usual same time and time again. That's me.
That's you personally.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
On next week, just to let you know, we are talking to Brian Allen about truth, lies and ufology, how the intelligence service created the modern UFO myth. Did many icons of modern ufology originate on alien worlds, or were they based on pioneering German technology captured at the end of World War II? Did US intelligence use ufology as a smokescreen to hide its own technological wonders? We'll be finding out more about this next week when we speak to Brian. What do you think to that then, Andy?
I'm looking forward to it. I am personally very much in line with that idea. I think a lot of what we've seen and experienced and been told about over the years is to do with the American government hiding secret plans and secret projects being developed, and a lot of it being passed off from World War II, the Nazi experiments, that some of the less nasty ones, obviously, about human experiments, but sort of experiments with rockets, etc., were continued straight after the war, with a lot of the German scientists, of course, being brought over.
Yeah.
You know, that falls under the remits of what's called Operation Paperclip, where these guys were brought over, and their skills and technology were made use of quite quickly by the Americans, hence the sudden leap forward in the space race with the Yanks. I think a lot of these projects, these UFOs we have supposedly sighted and recorded, are in fact secret experiments that have gone awry. I mean, we talked a little bit about Roswell last week, of course, and I think there is definitely a possibility that what Roswell was a testing of secret rocket technology that went wrong, and that they tried to cover it up with the story of the weather balloons in order to misdirect. But also, I think we can see what Brian's got to say about the idea that the CIA deliberately planted these stories in the media and in the press about UFOs in order to divert attention away from them rather than nefarious activities. That CIA actively encouraged UFO reports because it was a good cover story and smokescreen for experiments and secret operations.
Right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. If I'm back in time, I will say in advance that it's actually my birthday next Sunday, so I might be a bit late because I'm coming back from visiting my sister in Warwick. But so hopefully I'll be back in time, but if not, I will be up there relatively soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that a lot of it is smokescreen.
Yeah.
It really is. At the end of the day, if you think about it, the more you've got people looking for supposed alien spacecrafts and beings, and they're not looking where you should be. You've distracted them completely.
This is it.
It's like me getting John to look for one Pacific Spirit at one house.
Yeah.
While I'm having fun with all the rest.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're looking at one place instead of the whole picture all the time.
Okay. So what have you got for us this week, Andy?
Well, as we were just saying earlier on, it is the new magazine. She's up and running now. We're having problems with the server at the moment, but it is available through our Facebook page. And this is edition number 4, where we're talking about the shows that we've done previously. I've got extracts from Daryl's book on the out-of-body experiences. He's given us a section of his book quite nicely. Thank you for him. We've also got from Sue King, who's last week, I think it was, week before last rather, her near-death experiences. I've included the introduction from her book. I've got a new article from Brian Langdon talking about the Beast of Bolter's Lock, which is kind of crossing over between ghosts and cryptozoology. Mm-hmm. And Richard Thomas is talking about an interesting UFO crash story, which was in Aztec, Central America, but has certain similarities to the Roswell incident, which we were talking about a moment ago. We've also got a very good article from Della Farrant, David Farrant's wife, talking about the story of the Highgate vampire. She covers in quite a lot of detail, actually. So it's a very good article she's written for us. And of course, as you know, later in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to be at the symposium, which I'll be reporting on soon afterwards. So the magazine's up and running. It's got the usual regular features from Alison Winrider. She's talking about crystals and healing this time. Our spotlight group for investigations is COTC, of course, who were guests a few weeks ago. We've got a link to the radio broadcast is there as well. And a few bits and pieces. Steve's paranormal, his ghost guide, his hunts is continuing. Just a brief update on one of the stories I covered last week. If you remember the UFO sighting by John Lennon and the Skep. Remember the guy bought it? Well, apparently Mei Ping, John Lennon's ex-girlfriend, who was quoted as being the co-witness to it, has said the drawing is fake. It's not real and never drawn by him. So I don't know what our Scottish friend, Welsh friend, Russ Kirk thinks of that, but apparently she said it's fake. So I've included a little news update on that one in the magazine, as well as a few other stories. And I'm going to tell you something that you guys are going to be very annoyed about, but I've sneaked in. If you look at the contents page, at the bottom, it's got the listing of paranormal news. I've listed Haunting on Ice, from where it's from, etc. The Golden Gate Ghost, Wink News. Sue's Tupenneth, it says Villafan loses out from the Metro and put underneath Up the Gunners. I do apologise for that, but there we go. So yes, the magazine is complete. It's now out, and it's downloadable, viewable online as always. Just to let you know, there will be a special edition next month, which is going to have a lot to do with the Vampire Symposium, which is why it's not a major feature in this one, although Dave Farrant was on last month. So that will be like a big feature. There won't be one for September, so I'm going to take a little bit of a break. And then there will be one for October, which of course have a big focus on Halloween coming up, and may well be in a slightly different format. I'm looking at redesigning it and making a few changes. So that's something to look out for in the future.
Well, and because you've not had a chance, Andy, I've just put a silly video on for you. If you want to have a look at that.
Oh, sorry, I have one. I do apologise. I've got one as well.
He has got one.
Yeah, and I've got another thing that I would like people's. I did send it to you, but I'd like people's take on it. I'm just going to put it on now, and hopefully it will work. I'm going to click on that one. I'm going to move my mic out of the way so John can see this. Then we can have your opinions.
Okay, we've all gone quiet.
Shadows found one which actually was featured a couple of weeks ago. The little aliens and the landed UFO. So that one.
Yeah, I'm just showing the ghosty one. Just showing John the ghosty one.
The ghosty one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure about that either.
To be honest.
It's not coming up on the chat room, Steve. There's no link.
I was just about to do it.
Oh, okay.
It is there because I clicked on that link myself.
Well, I'm assuming that
the second link there. If you click on that second link, it will take you
I
there.
don't know why it said on FB me. But,
Because they were on FB.
Was it?
Yes.
Right.
Oh yes, this one. Yes. It's rather amusing, isn't it? I love the way in which you've got some old chap who happens to just turn around and look over his shoulder, and they're trying to say, well, he was looking at the ghost. Oh. I mean, the movement is just completely wrong. I mean, they make it worse. They try and zoom in, because you can just see the thing is wobbling and the camera position isn't. But you can also clearly see the old guys turn around and look at the truck that's pulling past. You know, that's what he's looking at, not the supposed ghostly figure across.
Mossy said it looks like a Dementor from Harry Potter.
Viscount was thinking the same thing.
Right.
A slender man, maybe.
And what was your one, Andy?
What was your one, Andy?
You need to put your sound up and be quiet, guys. Listen to this one, it's rather hilarious. Right, let me just put it up.
Okay.
Ooh. Here we go. Boom.
Right. And this is a silly video for the week.
I do like the silly videos. They're really good.
This one's more
slightly
sinister rather than silly. I was just finding this rather amazing. But the guy's reaction, I think, is what's making me laugh. Is a little over the top, shall we say. You're watching, he's got this, they're watching the baseball, we have nice baseball, we all like a bit of baseball, well, we don't. So cuts to the order camera, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, that appears on screen.
So
ooh, what's
I'm
this?
catching up. I'm playing catch up at the moment. So
You're seeing it, all the imagery suddenly, and obviously it's coming on the main camera because the commentator actually comments on this series of this page of images that suddenly appear. It looks like a bunch of transfers to me, but the guy on the camera who's recorded this, his reaction was a little over the top, shall we say. He's like, oh my god, Illuminati are taking over the world, look, they're taking over live baseball now. It's like, oh, come on now, calm down a bit. But it's a bit strange. It's suddenly appeared on screen like that. You know, it's like, whoa, that's a bit touching. I mean, if you look at it closely, you can see what looks like a knackered baseball ball behind it.
yeah.
What on earth is going on? Why that suddenly appears? But the guy's reaction is somewhat over the top, shall we say? Oh my god, no, they're going to take over. That looks like a bunch of transfer stickers to me. There's nothing particularly special there. Most symbols I can recognise, but it's just a little over the top reaction. I thought was rather funny. But there we go.
Well, thank you for that, Andy. So
I think I recognise most of them and all.
well,
Standard, really.
Well, I'm afraid that's about it for tonight's show, I'm afraid, guys. Don't forget, the magazine is now out, issue 4, as Andy said, that accompanies this show. And it's got contributions from many names within topics we cover, as well as our regular features, plus much more. You can get that by... if you nip to our Facebook page, you can get the link from there, and hopefully when the site comes back on, you can get it from there as well. If not, let me just put this into your...
Let me just say very quickly, there may be 1 or 2 minor errors in the magazine. I had a bit of a nightmare. Unfortunately, last night we finished off.
Oh, what's happening there? Stop banging. Say that again.
I was working on it, as you know, last night. Just let everybody know. If there's some minor errors in the magazine, I do apologise in advance because I wanted to launch it tonight as it's the last weekend of the month. But for some reason, my computer started to lose a lot of the edits I'd made, so I had to very hastily redo them this morning, and then I was talking lunch. So I'm always out for lunch, as most people say. But I didn't have the time to go over it in full detail. We had a look together, but unfortunately we spotted one error that sneaked through. So I apologise in advance, guys. There's a couple of errors in it. It's because, unfortunately, my computer sabotaged it. So hopefully I'll iron out those wrinkles next time.
So don't forget, guys, if you would like to contribute to our magazine within these subjects, then whether it be showcasing your group or highlighting venues, you can add your article to the KTPF KTPF magazine by sending them to editor@ktpf.co.uk. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's show, and we hope to have your company again next week from 8 p.m. on www.ktpf.co.uk or on original.livestream.co.uk/KTPF. I think that's what it is. I can't remember what it is. So, does that sound about right, Andy?
Yeah, so it's just dawned on me. Shads, that's you, Steve, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Suddenly realised.
Well, I'm on live stream and it wouldn't take my usual password, so I just put Shads in.
So is that the URL, Steve? Is it original.livestream?
It is original.livestream.com/KTPF.
Yep, there you go. So thank you again. Thank you again, John, for coming in and talking to us.
You're welcome.
It's been great having you back on the show again.
It's been good, thank you.
Nice to keep up with you anyway. Yeah. So, and Andy, thank you very much for doing the magazine.
That's fun. I always enjoy doing it.
Yep, I'm just having a flick through that link that Sue put up there.
So what, the online?
The online flicker.
The online flick.
It's really good,
page.
isn't it?
It is good. So, are you ready, Steve? Thank you for listening to the KTPF Community Talk Show, which is supported by Phenomena Magazine and Beyond Parazine, and sponsored by
Craigenhouse Castle, South Wales, one of the most haunted castles in Wales. For more information on ghostly and ghastly events, including fright nights, all-night investigations, and hen parties, visit www.mosthauntedcastle.com.
Well, that's it for me, and so it's good night from me.
And it's good night from her.
Oh, it's disappeared.
Shall we do that again?
It's good night from me.
And it's good night from her.
And Andy.
Everybody else, and from Auntie Rose and Auntie Flo and Uncle Tom and Fred and Jim.
So until next time, all that's left to say, would you like to join us, John?
Yeah, well.
Keep the paranormal friendly. Good night and God bless.
This is where it's at.
Say it, so there, I do.
To see in the night, to measure the spike, to see how cold it's been. I buy my kit so I won't forget the ghosties that I have seen. The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.